I wasted my horror movie watch on a little movie called Caveat.
Oh, I thought you wasted your horror movie watch on a little movie called Swamp Thing. Heyo.
Oh, we're already in the review.
I have come on a mission of gravest consequence. For I am the Watcher, member of an ancient race far older than man. But though our power is great, we are pledged only to watch, never to interfere. But now mankind faces the greatest danger it has ever known. The danger of
the Watchers of Earth. 199,999.
Welcome to the Watchers of Earth 199,999. I'm your host, Andrew, and taking the reins this time is my co-host, Seth.
Why?
We'll get there. Our third co-host, Joe, couldn't be here today because he was turned into a muck monster, but not a Marvel muck monster. Our fourth co-host, Uatu, isn't here either, but he is replaced by the Monitor, who is sworn only to watch and also interfere, but not with this podcast directly.
Who is sworn to strike this from the record. So today we watched Swamp Thing, which originally premiered February 19th, 1982. After a violent incident with a special chemical, a research scientist is turned into a swamp plant monster. I should have said it's written and directed by Wes Craven. Andrew, in a sentence or less, you're going to make me tell you first, right? Because this is my doing?
Sure. Yeah, what'd you think?
Well, why are you making me run this show? We've done that before, and it does not work.
Well, I was going to make you run this show because I thought this was incredibly boring. I honestly have no idea what to say. I have no thoughts whatsoever on this. This was so boring. And it's not like, it's like kind of bad boring, but it's not even like really bad boring. It's just like uninteresting. Just kind of, it was bland, not a lot happens. Stuff happens at the end that was a little more interesting, but by then I had completely tuned out. It takes so long to get to the stuff that would have been fun if it was the entire movie. And for the first time ever, The Incredible Hulk has someone gunning for its place at the bottom of my list.
So I was under the impression, I really knew nothing about this.
Out of all the ones that we put up,
this was the one you wanted to watch least.
This was the one I had no interest in watching. And when I saw that it was in the lead, I was like, okay, this is probably going to be fun. This is probably something that people like know isn't great, or at least it's like campy fun because it's like Wes Craven. It's from the 80s. It's got
I think Wes Craven, and I think of like,
and I was like,
did,
I bet
Hills
this would
Have
be fun.
Eyes and Scream, and
so like I wasn't looking forward to it, but I kind of like talked myself into it where I was like, I'll probably find fun in this. And then it was a complete nothing of a movie.
I mean, it's got a 62% tomato meter.
It's so boring.
No, so you say Wes Craven campy, and I say Wes Craven spooky. And I guess that's what I expected it to be. And it is not, which kind of threw me for a loop. It is, I would say it's campy, but a little too late, like you kind of alluded to. But yeah, I won't disagree for being a movie that just meets that hour and a half mark. It's long. It is a little long.
It is incredible.
But I thought the characters made good expressions. I thought the expressions the characters made were good. But yeah, do you want to jump in?
Let's jump in.
Do you want me to jump in since you don't know how to talk about this movie? And
I'll stay on the boat and you jump in.
You hold my head under the water.
Yeah.
Okay, so Alice Cable, that's her name, shows up at a swamp. This is I hate you every time you do this, but here we go. Alice Cable shows up at a swamp. Everyone says the government's doing stuff in the swamp. There's a militia led by Anton Arcane, that wants the military swamp juice.
They kept mentioning Arcane throughout the opening, and I mean, this is on me for not paying enough attention, I guess, but like, I thought for certain he was one of the scientists also working, and I was wondering what like the military people were doing, and I just thought like, okay, those people are just like protecting this secret like science experiment thing, and they're just outside like making sure that no one gets in, but it turns out they were actually there to raid it, and then Anton Arcade is also wearing like a crazy goofy mask that he pulls off for some fucking reason. Even when he pulls it off, he's like, you know my name, but you don't know my face. And I was like, what's the point of the rubber mask then?
Oh, we'll get to that. Yeah, that didn't bother me. I understood that Arcane is the villain of the piece.
I knew who Arcane was, as a
yeah.
character. I just didn't know within this movie what his role was.
I thought it was fine, and they were like, we can't let Arcane get involved. But anyways, so Arcane has a bunch of militia people. They're trying to get the swamp juice.
That swamp juice.
Swamp juice. Alec Holland, our titular Swamp Thing man, says...
And his sister wife.
And his sister wife
Linda.
kind of womanizes Alice Cable a little bit when he takes her out on the swamp. And shenanigans happen. Alec Holland turns into Swamp Thing.
I was surprised to see Ray Wise. I've never seen him so young before. He's always been like in his 50s and stuff whenever I've seen him.
Who the fuck is Ray Wise? Oh, Alec Holland.
Yeah,
Who the fuck is Ray Wise? Oh, he's in Twin Peaks.
Yeah, but when was Twin Peaks? Wasn't that like late 80s?
92.
Okay, so 10 years after this. Because I was going to say, in Twin Peaks, he's already starting to like gray and stuff, and I've never seen him this young before. And it took me a second to recognize who he was.
So this is the weird thing for me.
I recognized his voice before his face.
So Wes Craven, not 5 years ago did he make The Hills Have Eyes. And then like 2 years later he makes Nightmare on Elm Street. Where does Swamp Thing fit in? Why is this...
I mean, this feels like a made-for-TV movie. This does not feel like a full theatrical release movie. It's got weird animated cuts that are fucking bizarre.
Oh, it's like transition fades? Bonkers.
There's like one that's like a star.
No, okay. I was going to ask what your favorite transition was. Mine.
My favorite transition... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Your favorite transition was the one when the lion roared at the end and the movie turned off. Mine was when they're throwing a bunch of grenades at Swamp Thing. The militants are throwing a bunch of grenades at Swamp Thing. And we see like the same scene 4 times in a row where a grenade blows up 4 feet away from him. And then he does that thing where he like weirdly lunges at the camera. No, that's not then. He makes 2 fan boats collide and it blows up. And then a star-shaped, a blast-shaped scene transitions the scene. It's terrible.
So my best transition is not actually a transition. It's just an awkward cut. But I think it's within that same like bit that you're talking about before the boats crash and the explosion happens. There's a part where he jumps into a boat and then they take off and he falls off the back of it. And it immediately cuts to a guy that he threw off the boat like 2 minutes earlier, popping out of the water. And for a split second, I went, wait, did he just get cured? Because he falls backwards into the water, and then immediately it cuts to like this bald guy, normal human bald guy popping out of the water. And I was like, did Alec just get cured? What's happening? And I was like, oh wait, that's the guy he threw off earlier, who then gets turned into like a little like ferret man.
Okay, so Alice shows up in the swamp. Alec Holland is doing a bunch of plant research with the government. The military wants, or like some militant group led by Arcane wants that. They find him, they shoot up the place, burn it to the ground. Alec gets covered in his swamp juice and jumps into the water, never to be seen again, but later he will. And then...
never to be seen again, except for when he does. Alice
hides a journal. Anton takes all the journals, except for the one that Alice hides. Alice... Shenanigans happen. She goes to a gas station. There's a dude there.
She never has a bra on, and you can always see her nipples poking through, and then at one point you get to see full-on side boob.
This is PG.
Weird.
Okay, I'm trying to go through the whole thing, but you're not wrong. I want to talk about things.
I mean, we don't have to go through... So, they make a weird change. It doesn't matter, but it's another one of those things where it doesn't matter, but in the comic, Alec and his wife are doing the experiment, and then they die. But in this, so that he can have this weird relationship with Alice, they change his wife to his sister, but they still put this like weird ambiguity for a while before she's like, "Oh, Dad," and then like immediately after that, he just like makes out with Alice in front of her, and it's fucking weird.
Okay, so they make swamp juice, and it works like those little firework poppers.
It glows like
Ooze.
they're in like Laser Quest.
It's highlighter green and it glows. And if you like put it on your fingers and then like flick it at people, it blows up.
If you put it on plants, they grow.
Later they learned where they tested it and it blew up. Plants grew.
But then they also learned that if you drink it, it just like heightens whatever you were, except it doesn't make sense because he's like, you were so smart. And of course, that means that it makes your smart into muscle in your big strong man now.
No, he loved the plants so much. He loved the swamp. They say that multiple times.
Oh, do they? I just remember at the end when he's like, it did work. We drank the same thing, but it only makes you more of what you were. And then The thing that Arcane says back to him is like, you were smart. Because he kept saying like, why are you so strong? And this other strong guy turned into a little ferret man. And then he was like, but you were so smart. And it only like made that smart, like that genius grow. And it made you bigger. And I was like, wait, so he's strong because he was smart? I don't get it.
Nobody does.
That is what he says, right?
No, he says that it doesn't make any sense. You're not wrong. He says it accelerates.
Like,
and
I
accentuates.
completely believe that he was just like, he loved the plant, so he is a plant.
He is a
And
plant.
I'm like, whatever.
But that other big curly dude didn't love little monkey Batman. Why did he do that? He's not even like super dumb in the movie.
Yeah, that's his thing. He's just like, he was dumb and like maybe cowardly, but then later on he's not a coward because he's like, hey, I'm gonna help you out. And then he's like, hey, I'm gonna go fight the big monster man with a sword. Ooh, I'm running up the stairs and making jokes. And then he just like never is seen again.
And then he runs out of the movie.
How about when the like really, really terrible rubber monster costume
Which one?
swings
Arcane
around a
or-
fucking medieval sword?
Why does he have a sword? Why not just make a werebeast monster? Why does he need a sword?
It's so stupid. How about when he's just like slashing at the water?
It's so stupid. Why? Okay, Arcane in the comics is like a white-haired
Arcane in the
tree
comics
man,
is like a big like creepy like
skeletal bone tree man.
skeletal bone man. No. You're thinking of what's his name? I can't think of his name, but he's like a tree man.
And Arc.
No, Arcane is just like a big like long-limbed, bald, gross like
Man.
ghoul man.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm thinking of.
You're thinking of what's his name? Like Woodrow? Woodburn?
Oh.
His last name is Wood something, and he's
Yeah.
like he's the fluorescent man? I can't remember his fucking name. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah. Okay, we talk about Marvel Muck. This has a ton of Marvel Muck before Marvel Muck was a thing because everyone has to have witty one-liners, like you said with the little man.
Do they really though? I don't feel like this is like I get what you're saying, I guess, but like this is just like 80s bad B movie muck.
Yeah.
Where it's just like everybody just like kind of has stuff to say and no one's saying anything of any importance. When she meets the kid, Jude,
Yeah.
couldn't understand a word he was saying half the time.
I don't know why Wes Craven didn't mic anybody.
He was impossible to understand almost. I think I caught like maybe 3 of his lines throughout the entirety of the movie. And he keeps like showing up. I thought he was just going to be like a weird bit character that like tells her that there's a phone inside. And then he just like keeps hanging out with
He
her.
is a weird bit character that just tells her there's a phone inside, but then he just stays in the movie. They like couldn't get him off set.
When he dies, I was like, did they really just kill that kid? I was like, he's just unconscious. But then the kid was absolutely dead. But then Swamp Thing is just like, I have magic touch. Wow, you're alive.
Okay.
And then the kid just like disappears from the movie again until at the end he hugs her.
So, okay. The militia kills Jude, and then Swamp Thing finds him, and he heals him with his plant healing powers. Fine. I'm here for that.
Give me more of that shit.
Just like I watched No Way Home, and I was like, yeah, I got it. 3 Spider-Men. Just give it to me. This is what I was here for. Then later in the piece, Swamp Thing gets his arm cut off by a machete by Rambo. By not Rambo. By a guy who just wears a red headband.
So long to grow back.
I don't understand. He has healing powers. Grow it back.
Well, okay, when he does grow it back, he's like chained in the fucking medieval dungeon of this guy's mansion.
Where he needs...
And when he grows it back, like for the longest time, he's just there with a stump. And then
He has
he's
a
just
little
like, I'm
baby
going to grow
arm.
it back. And I will say it's funny when his like little twig arm comes out and it starts like forming fingers. And then he just like stares at it. And then he's like, I have 2 arms now. I guess I'll break free. And I was like, you did not need that other arm for this. In no way is that other arm helping you break free of these. I mean, I guess he uses like both arms to do that, like, and then he like pulls them apart. But like, he could have done that with 1 arm.
With 1 arm,
It's
he could have
stupid.
broken his own chain because it's not
I
like
know.
his other arm was chained.
I know.
didn't exist.
It's stupid.
But then the reason I started talking about this, when he's fighting Arcane as the werebeast with the sword, at some point
The
Swamp-
terrible werebeast with a sword.
it's a terrible costume.
It's
The
fucking
Swamp
horrid.
Thing
I thought the
costume
Swamp Thing costume
passable.
looked bad. I thought it looked bad, but it's like you're right. It's passable.
It's 80s
but I think
passable.
it looks bad. I think it looks, especially. I think Swamp Thing is like a bland design, but like a fun bland design. He's got like vines and like crap all over him. In this, he's just a green dude with a bit of moss on his back.
Yeah. He kind of has like the weird nose thing that Swamp Thing has.
Yeah, but like
Not
barely.
enough.
It's
Yeah.
so bad.
He has
and
creepy
he looks
human
so
eyes.
he looks so bored all
He
the
does.
time. He looked almost as bored as I did. It was like looking into a fucking mirror.
All I could think of was that rubber suit has to be so hot in Charleston, South Carolina, muggy swampland.
It's got to be awful when it gets wet.
It's gotta be heavy.
It had that like rubbery Batman thing with the cow where he couldn't turn his head.
Oh,
He
yeah.
was always just like moving his whole body. He's always like side-eyeing everybody because he can't turn his stupid head.
At some point, Swamp Thing, when he's fighting Arcane, he runs behind Alice. I don't know why. He doesn't I guess he doesn't beat Arcane at that point.
I can't remember what happens with Arcane. I remember Arcane slashing at the water with a sword.
And then Swamp Thing comes up behind him.
Arcane dies, but I don't remember how.
Arcane's slashing at the water. Swamp Thing pops out of the water behind him and punches him in the back of the head or something. And then he I don't know, they might tussle some more. At some point he runs behind Alice because that's how Alice gets stabbed in the heart by the sword.
I was tuning out. I wasn't even really realizing how much I was tuning out. I didn't know what happened to her. I just saw that he was holding her and she had a boo-boo on her chest. And then I already knew that he had magic healing powers, so she was going to be fine. And I didn't care. I assumed she got stabbed with the sword, but I didn't see it happen.
He runs behind her at some point. I don't know why, just in the middle of this fight. And that's when he freaks out and grabs the big swamp bat and smashes Arcane. But there's this touching moment. Oh, that's not even here. This is going to be an awesome episode. I bet you're pumped that everyone voted for Swamp Thing, and it was my contribution to this show.
I hold all of you accountable.
There's a lot of points where I can't understand what anybody is talking. They did not get good enough boom mics at all. There's so the part I'm actually thinking of is after Swamp Thing loses his arm, and there's this touching moment where Alice is just oh my god, you're Alec Holland, I get it now. Does it hurt? And he's only when I laugh. And then they laugh. And I was is he serious? Is he making a joke? Or does it only hurt when he laughs? Why would his arm being cut off hurt when he laughs? But I can't hear anything in this touching moment between these two people because Wes Craven didn't mic anybody.
You can't get those mics wet. They're expensive.
They are expensive.
And everybody is flopping around in this water.
It's probably disease-ridden water. Oh, boy howdy. It's bad.
It's a bad movie.
It's not so good it's bad. Or it's not so bad it's good.
The only other thought I even have on this movie is that the one main mercenary guy looks like a fusion between Sylvester Stallone and what's his name? The guy who played Venom.
I was thinking he looked like
can't think of his name right now. Tom Hardy. Kept thinking Tom Holland, and I'm it's not Tom Holland. He looks like a cross between Sylvester Stallone and Tom Hardy. They got in a horrific Star Trek transporter accident.
I was thinking of Alan Alda.
I don't even know who that is.
He was in MASH.
Alan Alda. Alan Alda. He's very, very old. Oh, a younger picture. Kinda. I kinda see it.
Probably not, because I always think of people and then I actually look them up and I'm oh, they don't even look anything like that. So, I don't know. It's not so good it's bad. Or I keep messing it up. It's not so bad it's good. It takes too long to get to the fun campy stuff. And when it does, it still feels like there's 4 hours left.
It felt I thought the movie was over.
When they go back to the dungeon, I was we're not still doing this, right? This is long.
When they were all having their dinner party, I was this movie's still going. I thought we were done. I seriously thought the movie was about to be over, and then I realized we were in the third act yet.
Yeah.
And then it just keeps going. He has him in a dungeon. He asks him why the potion didn't work, and then he's the potion did work. And then before he asks him why the potion didn't work, he gives he just slips it to this guy in his dinner, and then the guy turns into the little man, and then everybody runs out, and he's this is my plan.
Bullshit.
I don't know what he was thinking it was going to happen. And then later on, he drinks it himself for some reason. And then he just makes a flesh cocoon. And it's funny when he's awkwardly tearing himself out of it, but it's not
and it reveals this terrible werebeast costume.
At that point I was too far gone. If that was the whole movie, or if that was the third act back when the third act should have happened 2 hours ago,
yeah,
I would have probably been on board because it is funny. It's just not it's too little too late. The awkward fight between Swamp Thing and the werebeast in the water is funny, but not funny enough. The little gremlin guy showing them to the whirlpool where they can get out into the swamp is stupid. It's stupid funny logic, but again, it's too late. I don't care anymore.
It's not worth the first
caring
2 acts.
So early.
The first act is so slow. The second act is very repetitive.
By the time we got to Swamp Thing, it's just him showing up and pulling people places. And it's so boring.
The second act is either that or it's Alice constantly running away.
I couldn't tell. Was she sold out by her boss or something? I assume that's what happened, but I couldn't tell. She calls her boss and
this
he's
is
turn
so
around.
Dumb.
And then the mercenaries show up and I was did the mercenaries find her? I assume that she called her boss and her boss is working with the mercenaries, but why? Why wasn't she just in on this plan? Why? None of it, it's all just stuff. I don't think the movie actually cares. It just goes you'll figure out enough to let the plot keep happening.
No, the problem.
It's bad.
The problem is, so Arcane is He has like the rubber mask. He kills whoever he said he killed. Part of the government. Bennett or something. I don't remember his name. Ricketts or something. He like kills this guy, assumes his identity, and then he is like, he's supposed to be the like handler of Alec Holland. That's who Arcane is. And so when Alice is in the gas station with Jude and she calls like the FBI and her boss or whatever, and she's like, hey, I'm in trouble, yada, yada, yada. Put me through to my superior or whatever. And then the person on the other end of the phone is like, yep, we're going to put you through Ricketts. And she's like, no, I think he's compromised. Yada, like, because she knows that Arcane stole his identity. And then Arcane just answers his phone in his car because...
Oh, that's Arcane.
That's Arcane.
I didn't even realize.
Yeah. Because he's just like... And then she's just like, oh, I guess he's not dead. I'll just tell you all this stuff because the movie has to happen. Because, yeah, then they learn that and they're like, oh, we got to turn around.
How about when she asks the kid, do you have a gun? And he says, and then he gives her like a little pistol, and then she's like, stay here. And he goes, and then she runs out, and she like says, hey, I'm over here. And I was like, why would you do that before you're behind cover? And then she jumps behind some tires.
No, she
and
trips
fires,
first.
Oh, yeah, she trips immediately. She says, hey, I'm over here. And like in the middle of saying here, she goes, "Wah!" and falls on her face. And then these guys have like stormtrooper aim.
Everybody,
and they completely miss. But then she jumps behind these these tires, and then she pulls out the gun, and it just immediately blows up on her. And then she runs away. And they're like, "What happened?" They're like, "Her gun blew up." It's so stupid. It's such a dumb movie.
I will say the gun gives her the courage to run out and cause a distraction. But
I mean, sure.
Can't have her have a gun. And because I was thinking, like, why even give her the gun in the first place? And I was like, it gives her courage.
Or give her, like, have it be... She even says, like, it's, like, from a museum or something like that.
Yeah.
That means it's, like, an older gun. Make it a 6-shooter. She fires 6 shots. And then
they
she's
all
down.
miss, like everybody else's shots.
Yeah,
Everybody in
like,
this...
whatever. Like, if that's your thing, giving her a gun just to have it explode really shows how that gun is not, like, can't be there.
Yeah. There's probably other ways to make her
like,
run out.
give her a gun and have her, like, kill a couple guys, and you can have a million mooks so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But then, like, the gun actually feels like it serves a purpose, because you're right, the gun is there to give her the courage to run out, even though she could have just done it anyway. It gives her, like, it makes her seem less stupid for running out, but then she immediately trips and the gun explodes.
She trips so often.
How about at the beginning when she, like, steals a gun from a guy and, like, blows away another guy, and then just, like...
She 360 no-scopes that dude. She, like, sees a
But then they
glisten in her
immediately take the gun
peripheral.
away from her again. Then, like, 13 guys come around her. I will say, for a movie from the 80s with a, like, female lead whose nipples are always showing, it's not as rapey as I thought it was going to get.
I mentioned when you're like,
To
there's
its credit.
multiple... You said there's multiple versions of this. Which one are we watching? And I think Amazon Prime, where we watched it, hashtag no ad.
There were, like, 3 versions. One of them was $1 cheaper than the other, and that's the one that I watched. They both had the exact same runtime. And I was like,
No, there's 3
a
versions.
difference.
All of them had the same runtime. One of them was like 5.1 sound, which I think was the ability to hear the characters. But you couldn't rent or buy it. It was just like add to your wish list.
Yeah.
And then the other 2 were the same, but one you couldn't rent. You could only buy, and that's why it was $1
Yes.
more. Or you could rent the other one, and I rented it for $1 less than just buying it outright.
Okay, when I looked, there was one that you could rent, or one that you could buy, one that you could rent or buy, and one I think you could only rent. So maybe there were 4, because you said there was one that was, like, unavailable.
Yeah, there was one that was like only wish list.
Because I remember seeing 3, and I remember, like, I looked at one, and it was like $1 more. It was like $4.99, and I was like, I'll just check what this other one is, and it was $3.99. I was like,
That's
fuck
it.
that, I'm not gonna spend an extra $1. So you didn't get all the nips. There was, like, straight on side boob.
No,
where
I
you
had
got
that. We watched
Okay.
the same one.
I didn't want to be the only one who was horny while watching Swamp Thing.
You didn't want to be the only one holding your swamp thing in your hand.
My giant-sized man thing. My average-sized man thing.
People made a book called Giant Sized Man Thing. What are they thinking? How did that get passed? No, so I told you before we even watched this, when you were like, when you asked me knowing what the answer was, and you were just like, what stupid fucking movie are we watching this week? And I was like, Swamp Thing. And you're like, God damn it.
I had no interest in this movie whatsoever.
I couldn't
but
tell.
I was trying not to show that I did not.
I
fucking
couldn't tell
care
if you
and
just
did
had a
not wanna
bad
watch
week
this.
because you were kind of off all week, it seemed to me. But when you
I was in a bad mood all week.
when you said that, I was like, this dude. It reminded me of Comic Book Club when you're just like, no one wants to read my fucking books that are actually good. Everyone just wants to read stupid shit. I was like,
This selection reminded me of Comic Book Club, where I was like, there's nothing wrong with the other selections. I just don't have interest in being, like, on a timetable to read something that's just, like, not as interesting as just like, there's something about like this and Comic Book Club where I just kind of want a breezy read.
Mhm.
I just want to like read some stupid thing and talk about it. I don't want to like read some like depressing memoir about the life of a whatever, and or just like, I don't know. It was just something like I had zero interest in this movie. I didn't think it was going to be that fun to watch. I didn't know if I was going to have much to say. I will say I'm having more fun in this discussion than I anticipated. But then again, anytime I sit and chat with you, I always have more fun than I anticipated.
It is not worth the price of admission of $3, of $2.99. It is not worth
$3.99, so it was $4 unless you found an even cheaper version than me.
I thought mine was $2.99.
I think mine was $3.99.
Maybe mine was $3.99. Either way, it's not worth $2.99 or $3.99, whatever I paid. It's not worth the 91 minutes to watch. But coming from the Marvel Muck, it was different.
I mean, yeah. I would rather watch the Marvel Muck, though. This is not a palate cleanser.
I agree.
This is like eating a bunch of gross ass cheeseburgers,
swamp things,
and then like finding some like old McDonald's fries under your car seat.
I won't disagree, but I laughed during this movie. I think I liked it more than you, but that doesn't
I did
say
not laugh
a lot. I laughed. There was, when the Starburst transition happened after the explosion, it was stupid. All the transitions were stupid. The Werebeast arcane was like, there's a lot of stupid campy crap. It just takes a long time to get there, and the payoff isn't worth that, like, total boring mess of a first act, a total repetitive mess of a second act, and then a campy, how is this movie not already done mess of a third act.
So when we sit down and do these, I turn my phone on silent and I toss it away from me.
That's what I always do.
And this time I sat down and I turned my phone on silent.
And every minute you were so close to picking
I tossed it away from me, but I didn't toss it far enough, and I kept seeing it. And I was wearing my watch, and so I would see texts come through. And like I had said something to Kirsten and told her I was watching this movie, and then I tossed my phone, and then she responded and asked what movie, and so I grabbed it to respond because like it's rude not to respond. And then like after that, like every couple seconds, I realized like I was just like not. I would like look up at the movie and be like, oh yeah, I'm like not paying attention. I'm not even doing anything on my phone. I'm just like not. I didn't care. Like I looked up what's his face, Ray Wise, and I was just like every couple seconds I was just like,
I almost picked up my phone.
I looked up like when this movie came out, what came out around it,
when this
what
movie
its reviews
ended.
were. I double checked the runtime.
I got so close to checking how long I was in the movie.
I quadruple checked the runtime because it felt so long. It felt like I was watching it forever. At one point, I like finally actually looked at the runtime left, and I was like, I am not even like 40 minutes into this thing.
In my defense, I watched 44 of your movies.
Don't call them my movies. This was a group effort.
So we were talking about side boob, PG-80 side boob, and we got off track. So there is an international cut of this that has 2 extra minutes of maybe full boob. Because all it says, what's it?
This said there's like 2 extra minutes of the uncut international version.
Yeah.
DVD Talk rated the film 3 out of 5 stars as recommended.
It was a different time.
The Pop Matters journalist J.C. Masick III wrote, as much fun as this film can be, and it often is, it's equally often difficult to ignore that Swamp Thing is ultimately at its core a rubber suit monster movie. I don't think
it's
that's
not a
true.
monster movie. I wish it was.
It's not. That's the thing. It's like I was hoping it was, like you said, Wes Craven. I said campy, but I was thinking like campy monster movie. Like this movie takes place almost entirely during the day, except for the opening scene with all the mercenaries sneaking in. It's so boring. I thought it was going to be a monster movie where he's just like popping his hand out of the water and grabbing people. And to its credit, technically it does that.
But it's bad.
But like, it's bad. He's like humanized too early. And I think part of the problem is like, he's not really a monster. Like he's just an ugly dude at that point.
Yeah, I was really disappointed. Like I said, 5 years prior, Wes Craven makes The Hills Have Eyes, which frankly, like all the movies I reference, I haven't seen since high school, but I remember really liking it. It was really, like, I remember it kind of being visceral. 2 years after this, he makes Nightmare on Elm Street, a total classic, which, that has the woman get pulled through the front door window, which is fun campiness. But there's no creep factor to this.
In July 1990, USA Network premiered the Swamp Thing television series. This saw Dick Durock reprising his role using a modified version of the Return of Swamp Thing costume. The series took a deliberate turn away from the campy themes of its 1989 film predecessor and leaned toward the darkness of Wes Craven's version. The fuck are they talking about? This isn't dark.
It's not.
I'm wondering what the Return of Swamp Thing is like. Maybe that's going to be more fun because maybe it's apparently that's the campy one.
No, that one was panned.
Maybe that one's like more stupid fun. This is just like boring. It's like it's not taking itself seriously enough. Like it is, It's weird. I think it is like it treats itself like it's a real movie. It's just really, really bad. It shares a lot in common with The Incredible Hulk.
I don't think
but
it's
all
a
the
time
bad
thing.
stuff.
Like, I don't think this is just like the 80s didn't know. Because again, I mean, this is around Hills Have Eyes, Scream, Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, there is stuff here. And when did Watchmen come out?
Oh, 1986, I think.
Yeah. Because I was trying to think, I knew it was like mid-80s, so I knew this was right before it, where Alan Moore and Frank Miller were writing like, we got to get away from the Gold and Silver Age stuff. And this doesn't, I mean, this feels Golden Age, like not Golden Agey, but this feels comic book sanitary.
I will say, look, I pulled up the Return of the Swamp Thing costume. It's way better. He's got like leaves and crap. It's a much better costume. He's doing a little thumbs up, so maybe this movie would. I think the Return of the Swamp Thing might have been more fun.
Should I have put this in the new poll?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's up to you. There's like a half. Look at this.
No,
it's
this
like
is.
half elephant
There's
man
no
thing.
way. America's favorite superhero is back in action, a cross between Little Shop of Horrors and the Incredible Hulk with a light spritz of hairspray. It has.
Look at this thing I just sent you.
Ooh, that's sweet. Little elephant coming out of
The side of this guy's head.
the side of that.
And this costume looks great. This swamp thing. Hold on, I'll find
No,
it.
I'm looking at it.
Isn't it much better? He's like
No,
all
it's
mossy.
very
and
good. I mean, it's also 7 years later.
He's got the correct nose.
It's 7 years later. No, I'm looking at this poster for it, where there's a little thought bubble where Abby is going, why can't men be more like plants?
A monster of a comedy, and she is grinning her little face off. And there's this like, I think this might be Crane, and he's like a weird big-headed monster man. This looks great. I mean, it still probably sucks, but it seems like compared to the other movies,
It was
more fun to
panned worse
sit through.
than this says it was worse than. It's 20% less on the tomato meter.
People don't know what they're talking about.
I think it's 9% more on the audience score. If people like this, maybe we'll return Swamp Thing if people want it. But there was a couple things I wanted to talk about.
though. Go for it, because I think I've burned out all of my topics.
There's a lot of problems with the movie.
As we have said
I don't
over and over.
Do you think Wes Craven is just like a big Swamp Thing fan? Like, why do you think he made this? Like,
Maybe.
I don't know. I was really disappointed even in I thought the cinematography was really bad. There's a lot of flat
It looks
angles.
like it was made for TV.
There's a lot of weird. So I made a joke about how this still has, to me, a lot of Marvel muck in it, where it's a different type of quip, but everybody has that 80s like one-liner when he's fighting the weird like changed man, when Arcane is fighting like the weird little changed man in the whirlpool, and he like action rolls at his legs and he's like, have a nice trip, see you next fall.
See, but that's the first time I feel like any of that happens.
No,
like
at the very beginning, Alice is like, where's the nearest restaurant? And then the helicopter pilot's like, well, way back in Washington, unless you're an alligator, in which it's where we're landing.
Yeah, but I guess that's just like typical 80s.
See, and that's what this whole movie,
movie
that's all the
crap.
quips were.
See, and I can't remember any but those two. Like, I'm sure there's a couple here and there.
Well, the thing that you were joking about, we're not being able to hear Jude's line, where she's like, do you have a gun? And he's like, what kind of place do you think this is? Yeah. There are like one-linery quippy stuff. And the other thing I was going to say is, much like the Marvel movies of today, the Swamp Thing movies of yore do not let anything rest. There were a lot of like weird scene transitions. I think there's one where the like headband leader militant guy who's not Arcane is, I don't know, they're talking about they got to get the notebook or something, or they got to get the girl or something or whatever. They're like, Swamp Thing's out there, but we need to keep pressing on. We got to deal with this. And they're just like, I don't know, it's stupid. Swamp Thing, they just like make a cut and Swamp Thing's just like, "Rah!" And then that's it.
What was at the beginning when the big bald guy that gets turned into a little ferret man, where he like, they were like stealing stuff off of the corpses or something, and then he's got the locket from...
And then he puts it on the plant. Why does he put it on the plant?
Yeah.
I guess it's because that's supposed to be like the dumb guy?
Like, he is, but I was like, is that supposed to be like he's not that bad? And I guess he helps him at the end, but like, I don't know, I feel like he would have helped him at the end anyway, just to get back at the guy that turned him into a weird little monster creature. And like, I don't know, it's weird because it's also so early in the movie, and then at the rest of the movie, he's still just the villain like everyone else.
Yeah, it's
also so that he can find it later, but I mean, they could have just left it behind. It didn't need to be... We saw that his sister was wearing it. It was like a thing.
Yeah.
So it's not like we needed it to be put on a plant and then found again by Swamp Thing 40 minutes later.
For as much as I defended we got to give her a gun that she can't use so that she has the courage to run out in the open, this stuff made no sense. I was talking before about there's an international cut with 2 extra nudity footed minutes. I can only assume it's when she's like bathing.
2 extra nudity foots?
Yeah, it's a Quentin Tarantino scene. I can only assume that's when she's bathing, and instead of getting
Probably
side
like
boob.
it's the only bit of the movie where anything like that happens, and I was like, this is out of nowhere. And also, like, the movie is so long, I was like, it's kind of late to just like, here's some like awkward side boob. Why even like bother? Like, I know that all these 80s movies have like that kind of like stuff in it, and like not like necessarily whatever, like it's acceptable, like whatever, it's just what they do. But it was like so nothing and so late in the game and so like out of, I was just like, why even bother? Like at this point, just like cut that out. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, why isn't that instead of making? Well, I guess because you need it to still be 90 minutes. You can't cut all
That's
of it.
true.
You can only just cut. But I was sitting there and thinking, did Wes Craven really make her bathe for 2 more minutes? Just to get more boobs? Like,
Probably.
gross. We had a Wilhelm scream. I haven't heard one of those in a long, long time.
I think there's one in one of the Marvel movies that we watched.
Maybe. I don't remember hearing one in a long, long time.
It might be in Captain America. I think there's like somebody gets like chucked out of something.
When Alice is running away from the militia. Well, one, I don't understand. They take a helicopter to get to the swamp church base of operations. But then during the movie, they just kind of like, they find the gas station, which has, I guess, an attendant, but there's also a road. And so I don't know actually how close they are to people.
It doesn't matter. I don't even know why, like that gas station and the attendant are only there so that she can use the phone so that she can contact someone, even though it doesn't matter. Because in the end, like you said, like she just calls Arcane.
And then he just turns around.
And then he shows up. Like they could have just shown up wherever she was anyway. Like if she was just like stuck in the middle of the swamp, why not just have him corner her somewhere? I mean, this movie sucks. It's so boring. It's so long. It's so nothing. Ugh. And at the end, she's like, you can continue your research. Let me come with you into the swamp. And then he's like, I'll always be with you in your heart. And I was like, whatever, dude. You met her like an hour ago and like made out with her over some like plants that you grew.
How about when he
fucking stupid
when he
movie.
finds the plants that grew, and then he's like, hey, sister wife, get in here. And then she like shows up and she's like, oh, you guys are kissing. This is what you wanted me to see, Alec? You sick monster. Yeah, there's a lot of crap, and we've been jumping around a lot, so I don't really know where anything else goes. I know I have like little bits and pieces, but they're not worth retreading areas.
See, that's why I always do the long, boring thing that you hate, because it's like, if we just jump around, I never know where, like, I always like forget to bring stuff up. And
usually it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, that might be it. She's like, I'll be your hands, and he's just like,
I still have hands, I can grow them.
I can grow a bunch of hands. No, because he was like, no, because remember at the beginning when he first did Swamp Thing, he's trying to do like science or whatever, and it's doing fine until he's just like spasms, and then he crushes the beakers.
I don't remember him trying to do any science.
Yeah, he like the first time he comes out of the water, and he goes into the church base place science lab. Alice is there, and she's watching him from afar, and he's like trying to do science, and he keeps breaking beakers, and then he like freaks out and smashes the table.
This at all.
But yeah, he's like, I love you. I mean, I'm always with you. And then he like takes 40 steps, and then the screen just freezes and the credits show up. They didn't credit Len Wein. I noticed that.
Yeah.
They did call. Maybe this is a cartoon anime thing that you're gonna make fun of me again. I find it so weird when they call comics magazines. They say it's based off of the DC magazine.
I'm sure it's just like a thing, like people look down on comics, but if we call it a magazine, we're giving it the
it's before the graphic
credit
novel
that we have to, but we're not.
It's not a comic
like,
book. It's not Superman
stupid.
1.
They won't think it's stupid before watching the movie and knowing it's stupid.
This says
instead of just me and Rodney knowing it.
So I don't get this. Oh no, I get this. Okay, I'm looking at the DC fandom for this movie, and it says supporting cast: the Parliament of Trees. And I was like, I don't get this. But are they really claiming that, like, yeah, the Parliament of Trees is here too? Sure, great. But no, this is just like the supporting cast.
Swamp Thing as a character.
Like Constantine's in here and Liz Tremaine and stuff.
Maybe that's the extra 2 minutes was the Parliament of Trees looking at her boobies.
Look at that. Look at that.
My trunk is so
Look
stiff
at
right
side boob. That 80s side boob. I don't know why this is here. This is a PG movie.
It's so fucking weird.
It's weird. And it's like gross weird where it's just like, the director was just like, we gotta have it. You gotta take your shirt off.
I don't even know if it, like, I mean, maybe it is directed, but it's probably just like a producer. It's just More boob.
Boob. I need it. I need my swamp thing to get all swampy.
Engorged.
I need my swamp thing engorged.
Engorged-sized man thing.
Do I have any trivia stuff?
I have nothing.
If you want us to watch Return of the Swamp Thing that was released in 1989, let us know. We probably won't do it unless people ask, because there's a lot of things to watch.
I am more interested to watch literally anything else, but I also am like, I would at least look for, if that got voted, I'd be like, now I'd be excited to at least see if it's
Different,
more
yeah.
fun.
I mean, when I was putting together my options to vote on today, I was like, I'm not doing 80s. I'm going to go modern again. Like, I don't want to watch another one of these things.
At least with modern, very rarely, I mean, we had a lot to talk about with Incredible Hulk, but very rarely with a modern movie, you get something that's just like bad and there's nothing to say about it. Usually it's like bad, but like stupid, or like bad, but like weird.
I think we made do.
Or like bad or nonsensical, but like this was just like nothing.
I think
like,
we made do.
We did, but it was salvaging a nothing episode. Oh, wow. So, Seth, give me 2 put-ups and a put-down.
My first put-up is when the 2 fan boats collide and blow up, and then the scene transitions with a dumb, like, PowerPoint starburst. My second put-up is going to be... I said this movie's not so bad it's good, and it's not. But when Arcane is in his, like, little cocoon, and it's the big reveal of his, like, werebeast costume, and it's just awful, I'll take it. My put-down is going to be, at 91 minutes, this movie is fucking long. Like I said, the first act is so boring, and I don't really think it accomplishes really much. I mean, it introduces people, but not really that well. The second act is repetitive, and the third act is past the point of just like, this movie's got to be done.
So, I've never struggled so hard to come up with even a single put-up. My first put-up is going to be the fucking horrible werewolf monster slashing at the water with a sword. If it had happened 40 minutes earlier, I probably would have like chuckled.
I chuckled at that.
It was at least something that I was like, this is like stupid funny, but like it's too late. Same thing, like you, the cocoon reveal probably would have got a genuine laugh out of me.
See, I got those
if
laughs.
I hadn't been sitting through just a boring ass movie.
It's a long, boring ass movie, but I did get those laughs that you couldn't.
See, I didn't. I looked at it and I was just like, I could acknowledge that it probably would have been funny, because it is a good, stupid reveal where it's just like, it's a slow build to this dumb, like, flesh cocoon, and he's like awkwardly struggling to tear it off. And then when you reveal it, it's just like this horrible,
it's a terrible
Halloween
costume.
It's so bad. And like, thinking about it now, it's funny, but like at the time I just looked at it and I was like, I bet this is funny, but I got nothing in me for this movie. It was like, this movie didn't get a single chuckle, nothing out of me. I was just...
You're so pissed.
The starburst, again, was something that I was like, this is so stupid, but it's not like funny stupid. It's just like, I can remember this to talk to Seth about it stupid.
See, those hit me.
My put down...
See, now's your time to shine.
Just to not go for the cheap shot of just like, it's long and fucking boring. The completely unnecessary side boob scene. It serves no purpose. It is like 10 seconds, if even that. Like, it's weird on all fronts. It's weird because it has no purpose in the movie, like all of these, like, nudity scenes have. There's no purpose in the movie. It's not even anything. Like, if you want to see boobs, you're not getting anything out of it because it's side boob. Like, there's a nipple in there. So, like, you could, if you're like, 16 and you want to see a boob, you could pause it and be like, I can see a nipple. But like, it's nothing. It's so weird. It's unnecessary. It's gross because, like you said, you just know, like, the director or the producer was like, we got to have it in there. You're probably right in that the extra 2 minutes of the international release is probably her, like, turning around and full.
Yeah,
like,
so though the DVD was labeled as being the PG-rated domestic cut of the film, MGM had inadvertently used the 93-minute international cut of the film, which contained more nudity and sexual content than the U.S. theatrical cut. See, the sexual content thing is weird because at the beginning, there's only 3 spots. When she's bathing.
I feel like that's the only bit, that when she's bathing.
You also have Alec Holland's creepy pervert thing at the beginning.
Yeah, but I wouldn't call that sexual content.
I wouldn't either.
Like,
I would
just
hope
like
that's
just like like awkward 80s hammy acting. Like, as far as within the context of the movie and everybody filming and acting in the movie, that is a romantic gesture. It's not the creepy thing that it actually is.
But I'm saying that is one of the only other spots that I could see nudity and sexual content being in the movie without making a new scene. The third one is when Arcane captures her and he kisses her and then she knees him in the groin and pushes him off.
I also don't remember that.
Yeah, she knees him in the groin and pushes him off the boat.
I don't remember that.
And then
at
she
all.
jumps off the boat.
I just remember him like threatening to shoot his sister.
You didn't watch this movie. That's fine.
I did. I mean, it's so hard. It was so boring. I hated it.
Author John Kenneth Muir notes that Swamp Thing differs in many respects from Craven's usual work, no shit, and that Craven's intent was to show the major Hollywood studios that he could handle action, stunts, and major stars.
And he failed.
And he did not. So I guess that's why he made that? I have to assume that he liked Swamp Thing. And I mean, 70s Swamp Thing is probably not, like,
This is also, like, around the time when, like, the only comic book movies getting made were, like, the bit characters that no one cared about. This is when, like, they made the made-for-TV Doctor Strange. I think that was, like, late 70s. There was Howard the Duck in the 80s. This.
They, like, couldn't get the right, it was, like, too much to get real characters.
It was all just, like, the minor bit characters that no one really gave two shits about.
But, I mean, even, like, I remember Alan Moore's, like, Saga of the Swamp Thing. I remember the first, 6 issues of that or something is all him picking up from somebody else.
Yeah, it's all him just, like, basically writing everything out of the way to do what he wants.
But, like, that stuff, what I'm getting at is, I don't know what, if Wes Craven is a big Swamp Thing fan, and he's like, in the 80s, he's like, I want to make the Swamp Thing movie. I love Swamp Thing. I like, landscapes and environments and how that connects to people, and like I just made Hills Have Eyes. I assume the 70s Swamp Thing is not my Swamp Thing, which is probably more like 80s, or even when like Yannick Paquet was drawing. It wasn't terrible. But I mean, those were just different comics. I don't know. This is just, I was really hoping for like a creepy monster movie, and Wes Craven did not deliver.
It's not a superhero movie, it's not a monster movie, it's not an action movie, it's just a thing.
I would argue it's an action. I think there's action stuff.
Okay, yeah. I mean, if you have to call it something,
you have to say something.
I guess when it comes down to it, it's a bad action movie, I guess is what I'm getting at. It's like, it's not achieving anything that it could have been going for.
So the Wikipedia says it's a superhero horror film, which I mean, I guess
it's a superhero horror film because anything that's based on like a comic is almost
a
always
superhero movie,
superhero.
And it's a horror film because like Swamp Thing is like a weird swamp monster. He's a monster. He's a man in a rubber suit.
Seth, where did you put this in your total ranking of every Marvel movie ever, and now on the fringes of that as well?
Now fringes? You're gonna be so pissed. I don't know where.
Number 1, baby.
I don't know where it belongs at, but I know you are going to be pissed because it is not going to be worse than Thor: The Dark World.
You're out of your fucking mind.
I don't know.
Let me tell you right now, this is at the bottom of my list. It's the only thing below Incredible Hulk. It may continue to be for the rest of eternity the only thing below Incredible Hulk. And the only reason it gets that is at least Incredible Hulk, I remember having moments within that movie that were at least interesting or funny. And this movie was just a fucking nothing.
Here's the thing. As a connoisseur of the Incredible Hulk, this movie, I don't know. Like, the big difference is that this movie released my endorphins.
I mean, you saw side boob.
I laughed.
I laughed. You saw side boob and a bit of tit.
I laughed. I relieved. It's
gross.
No, I mean, we said that, all the parts that I was like, oh, this was goofy and funny. And you're like, I can see that, but no. I mean, you're going to fucking hate me. I don't know where it goes. I'm scared. Because it's not great. But, like...
No, it's not. It's not good.
But here's the thing.
It's not anything.
I'd watch this over fucking Zack Snyder's 4-hour Justice League bullshit.
Here's the thing. If I had the time to spare, I would rather watch Snyder's 4-hour bullshit again. The only thing that this has going for it is that it is shorter. But I don't think I would want to sit through any of it. Like, it's still, like, I couldn't sit through it this one time. I kept grabbing my phone and I was trying so hard not to.
I couldn't sit there either. I kept grabbing my Swamp Thing. So, I would not recommend this movie. However...
Tell me where I'm putting this.
However, if someone came to me and they're like, do you want to watch 1982 Wes Craven Swamp Thing? I would sit there and I would say, sure.
Let me lube up.
I would say, sure, but like, let's just put it on in the background.
Yeah, if I was putting this on the background, I absolutely would have watched this over Justice
To be fair, like 2 years ago before we started that's how you watched every movie you ever watched. But you come in on this one, you're like, when I watch movies, I turn it on silent, I turn my phone on silent, I throw it across the room. I fucking did that first. I did that for every movie of this. And you would sit there and be like, I don't know, I didn't mind it because I was like cooking dinner. It was in another room and I couldn't hear it, so it wasn't bad. Don't put me on this. It's long, it's boring, it's
number 1.
It's too little, too late for its campiness. But like, I don't know. It's not a palate cleanser, but it's not more of the same. It's not Iron Man 2. It's not Iron Man 3. It's not Thor: Dark World. Like,
Thor Dark World is a fun movie that I will defend.
Swamp Thing is a boring movie that I will defend. Like,
As long as you acknowledge you're defending a boring movie.
I mean, it's...
Where am I putting this? Where is it in your fucking rankings? Quit beating around the bush and beating your Swamp Thing.
Keep moving up. I don't know. I keep looking at these movies in my list, and I'm like, I would watch this more than this. I would watch this more than this. It's different. It's boring, but it's different. It's got two dumb suits. It's got 3 dumb suits.
You have to sit through like 8 hours of 40 minutes to get to
8 hours of 40 minutes.
I'm just saying, like
8 hours
40
of 40
minutes
minutes
feels like 8 hours.
It's got all these dumb transitions. It's got a bunch of people shooting 4 feet in front of people. It's got a bunch of people lobbing grenades like they're fucking bowling balls and they don't go anywhere. I am going to put this... I'm going to do you a favor here.
Don't do me any favors. You put this... You speak to your truth. You put it wherever your heart decides, and I will... I mean, you're already not putting it at the bottom, so you're getting judged regardless. You may as well just be honest.
So, here's... Do you think this is better or worse for me than Incredible Hulk?
I don't know. Only you can say. Wherever you put it, I'm not going to speak to you again. So,
what do you think? I've made my decision.
This is worse than Incredible Hulk.
I've made my decision. I don't care what you think.
Why is that the bottom
do you
of the
think
list?
I think this? Do you think I think Swamp Thing is better than Incredible Hulk, or do you think I think Incredible Hulk is better than Swamp Thing?
Oh, you're not asking me to make your decision. You're asking me to predict what you're about to tell me.
Do you think I like Swamp Thing more than Incredible Hulk, or do you think I like Incredible Hulk more than Swamp Thing?
Either one's going to make me want to punch this computer screen. I think you liked it more than Incredible Hulk.
You're correct.
So it's between Snyder Cut and Incredible Hulk.
I just said I would watch this over Snyder Cut.
I'm quitting the show.
And it's true. And I thought about putting it above Justice League and underneath Captain America. But here's where it is. On a different day, maybe it's above Homecoming. On a different day, maybe it's below Dark World.
Oh. So this is how our friendship dies.
Thanks for hanging out with us. If you like this, tell a friend. If you didn't, then lie to a friend. Check us out on Twitter at SoHowAbout. You can find me on Twitter at SethKumpf. You can find Andrew on Twitter at TessuDownist. And subscribe to us on YouTube at SoHowAbout.
And join us next time when we do this once more with interference.
Watcher.
All right, Seth. Now the
I
mics
like
are off.
this
What are we
more
watching?
than Caveat. Caveat is so fucking bad. You're gonna love Caveat. We're gonna sit here. It's gonna be roles reversed tomorrow or tonight. You're gonna sit there and be like, dude, why'd you hate Caveat? And they'll be like, I fucking hate you. I'm gonna air my grievances on Twitter.
Well, now I'm definitely going to watch Caveat tonight. Just
to prove your point.
Seth, what are we watching next
Well,
week?
Andrew, I don't know. And we're in a weird spot. And I don't know if we'll ever be in a right spot where we're putting out polls each day when we record. The goals are that they're usually up throughout the week, done on Friday so that we know what to watch for the weekend. We never really want to be caught up enough where the polls are intertwined with what we're watching next or what the viewers are hearing next. But just keep an eye out for polls. As long as there is not a Marvel movie that we have to watch, we'll be putting polls out. So either next week, we'll either watch Man of Steel, 2002 Spider-Man, Shazam, or 2016 Suicide Squad. Which one are you hoping for?
I threw in my vote.
Oh, I don't vote on these, dude. We can't vote on these. We're friends and family of the show.
You told me to vote.
I told you to... No, that was to our audience. That wasn't to you.
No, you told me directly to vote.
Did I really? That
Yeah.
seems weird. I can't imagine I would tell you that. I didn't vote.
Well, it didn't matter. I didn't win, so.
My vote didn't even count for Swamp Thing. I would have voted for...
I can't believe I thought you voted for Swamp
No.
Thing.
I didn't vote. I'm
All
a
right.
friend and family of the show.
Oh, well then, going forward, I won't vote. I don't know. I'm fine, honestly, with any of these. As much as, like, I don't... I've been retweeting these by saying, don't make me watch any of these. I'm fine with it. I like Shazam. I'm interested to rewatch the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, so I'm looking forward to that. I fucking hate Man of Steel and would love to talk about it with you, especially if you somehow fucking love it, and then I just have to, like... this friendship self implodes. And Suicide Squad is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I would love to talk about that again.
I don't know what it is. I don't know how I grew up to this point, but I have more, like, patience for 80s bullshit crap than modern day bullshit crap. all the Marvel movies that we've watched are undoubtedly subjectively better than Swamp Thing.
I think my thing is, for me, the modern bullshit crap is at least like flashier and just like, I don't know, it's like eating a cookie that's not good for you and you don't really like it, but it's better than just like sitting there and eating the porridge that is Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing it's different because it's not so bad it's good, but it kind of hits that same thing where it's not, Swamp Thing is making somebody else eat a cookie that's not good.
Me.
Like, it's just kind of a trip to the past. It's bad and goofy and campy, and I think I have a softer spot for stuff like that than you. But I'm hoping for Shazam. I was really excited to see Shazam, and I never did. I like Captain Marvel. I've heard good things about it. So I think I'm excited. I mean, I think all of these will be fine.